All right.
Okay, it says you're sharing a window.
All right.
Okay, it says you're sharing a window.
All right.
Oh, that's funny. Okay, let me go ahead and turn the volume off so that I'm not continuing to hear ourselves repeat back and forth, back and forth. All right, y'all, welcome to this episode of Healing Abroad. When we talk about healing abroad, we're really talking about it's not just healing is not just based on a location. It is also about how do you come back and become a whole human being outside of what the US has told us is possible. Today, I've got Kimmoy Matthews. I am so excited to talk to her because we're talking about one of my favorite subjects. How do Black women have a career that they actually enjoy? Kimmoy, the reason that this conversation is so exciting to me is because when I remember I was in my 20s, and this was not too long after graduation. I went to school for accounting. Go figure, would have never guessed. But I specifically remember a girlfriend of mine, we had both struggled and were miserable in corporate accounting. And I remember having a conversation with her, and she's telling me, Tish, everybody hates their job. And I got a little, I got a little quiet because I tend to be argumentative for sure. But this particular day, I was like, I didn't want to argue with her because I did think that she had a point. There are a lot of people who hate their jobs, but I also felt like I was not going to be one of them. And so I changed my career so many times from corporate accounting to higher education, to massage therapy, back to higher education, to health and wellness coaching, working as an academic advisor, being in tech, um, diversity business partner.
Oh my.
Literally
All the things.
my career literally has done all the things, but the thing that was driving me the most is exactly what we're talking about today. How do I get to a place where have a career that you enjoy? Personally, I was committed. Literally, my father's name is Malcolm. If you're a Black woman of a certain age, Malcolm X used to say, "By any means necessary." And I feel like that's how I live my life. By any means necessary, I was not going to hate my job. So, come on, talk to us. First off, thank you for joining us. Tell us a little bit about you and what
Oh,
you'd like
thank
us to
you.
know.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And I would say the to even start, before I even introduce myself, I think you started at a good point. By any means necessary. I think making the decision to say, you know what, I'm going to be someone who enjoys my career no matter what, I
No
think
matter
it
what.
starts there. And I think before you get to that decision, you have to be okay with experimenting. You
Mm,
have to be okay with running into a situation that you don't like and being okay with pivoting.
yes.
So don't expect that each career you are going to enjoy it, right? That comes with the exploration, the experimentation. There are going to be some situations that just aren't ideal, and
Yep.
you have to give yourself permission to pivot. So
Yes.
that's really a great opening.
I
But
love
about
that.
me,
Yes. Who are you, Les? Who is
I,
Kimmoy Matthews?
yeah, I would say I am a Caribbean woman, first of all.
Yes.
Uh, and I have adopted that experimentation mentality
Mhm.
just by pure upbringing of, when you grow up in the islands, there's always this thing ingrained in you to go out there and explore. At least it was for my family, where you want to try new things, go out there, see the world. So I love traveling, which I'm sure a lot of your audience also does. I have lived abroad, and that's how I actually met Tish in person in Mexico. traveled to many different countries, have tried several different careers and different ways of working. Um,
Mm.
and I think, you know, even since high school, I used to help my friends with their resumes. And I continued it in college. And when LinkedIn came out, I helped people with that as well. I
Oh,
had a
wow.
resume business. So I feel like I've always been an advocate for people pursuing careers that they find interesting, um,
Yes.
and that they're good at. But I feel like being good at
Mm.
something is a trap, particularly for Black women, because
Come
we
on
are
now.
good at a lot of things,
Yes.
really in everything that we do.
Whatever we put our hands on.
Yeah, so I think yeah, I've just been doing that for my whole career, if you will, um, in my personal career and helping other people as well. So that's a
Yes.
little bit about me.
Yes. So, I mean, tell us a little bit about so now what is it that you do now? You help people do what?
So I help people with their career challenges. So if you're thinking about making a change in your career, whether you want to change industries, change the role, change the environment, change the way that you work, then
Yes.
I definitely help with that, give you the transformation, the tools, the coaching, and the support you need to achieve that particular goal. So
Awesome.
that's in a nutshell what I do.
I love that. I love that, which is why you're here, right?
Yes.
So you said some very key things that I absolutely want to zero in on. And I think the first thing that you said that I found very interesting is that you were raised with kind of this idea that it was okay to experiment. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, and this could be my little toddler brain or childhood brain interpreting it that way. But growing up in the islands, you're always taught to go to see another country, and it's usually either the UK or America, the mainland.
Okay.
So yeah, and I had a lot of family that lived in St. Kitts. So traveling to other islands, sister islands, is very common in the
Okay.
Caribbean. So I feel in that sense, it was okay to just go to another country. And then growing up in St. Thomas, it's a melting pot.
Okay.
So I would hear Haitian Creole, Dominican Spanish, Puerto Rican Spanish all the time. So, and me being a nosy kid, I wanted to know what they were saying. So
Yeah.
I studied it for 4 years in high school, and that inspired me to go and study abroad at the age of 17. So
Well,
I feel like that has always been ingrained in me. And my teachers, even though I wasn't the best at math, I did like it because my teacher made it fun. And she was the one that encouraged me to study engineering. I'm like, sure, I was impressionable kid. So I'm like, okay, sure, why not? Right? It wasn't like I didn't hear that story that a lot of people tend to hear is math
mm,
is so complicated, it's so hard, you shouldn't do that. Engineering is not for women, or I didn't hear those stories. It was just like, hey, you seem to like it. Why don't you study this thing? And that's the direction I took. So I didn't really know what engineering was. I kind of learned about it as I went through college.
okay.
And it turned out to be not the field that I wanted to ultimately be in, but I was okay with that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you studied engineering.
Yes. Electrical engineering.
I don't know that I knew that about you. I knew that you worked in tech, but I don't know that I knew that you studied that you're an engineer by trade. That's amazing.
Yes, yes, yes. And I love
Okay.
technology to this day, but it doesn't mean that I need to be an engineer, right? So I
Mhm.
didn't put myself in that box. And that could be an Aquarius thing. Like we don't like to be put in boxes either. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So you went to school for engineering. So how did you translate engineering? Like how did you find work that you enjoyed?
By going through roles that I didn't enjoy.
Okay. Yeah. Let's talk about that.
So, yes. So, thankfully, I went to a small engineering school and they were very proactive again about trying new things. They literally told us, even though you're a freshman, you need to go to the career fair. This is when they had career fairs. I don't know if that's still a thing anymore.
I don't know either.
But
It's funny.
yeah, so even if you were a freshman, you had to get your resumes out and you had to go and talk to these companies.
Mm,
So yeah, so that was encouraged all 4 years of my time. So I went every single year. And I learned about all these different opportunities. And sometimes recruiters would say to me, "Oh, you're so good at this. You should become a sales engineer, or you should try this, or you should try that." So that was some of the messaging I received. And I did internships every summer
okay.
at different companies. Yeah. And then when I
We have such
graduated,
similar experiences.
yes, yeah. Um, and I think life speaks to us. We just need to listen.
Mm.
Um, so I feel like we get these clues from people along the way, and if they're meant for your highest good, you could kind of tell, when
Yeah.
they're not, when they're restricting and they make you feel, limiting, then you kind of could tell in that sense also. But yeah, once I graduated now, I had this idea that I wanted to work for Northrop Grumman. It's this big military company building these
Yeah,
like,
government contracting or something.
yes, yep. And they
Okay.
were building at the time airplanes that didn't need a human being to control them. It was kind of like building a video game where you could
Self-driving car.
control, they're called unmanned aerial vehicles. And I thought that was the coolest thing ever. I'm like, what? You could do that as an engineer? And I got the job with Northrop Grumman. And let me tell you, that was the worst job of my life. Oh man, it was so top secret and it was in like this little box of a space with no windows. And that was my first clue. I don't care how cool the technology is. I can't work like this, right?
Mm.
I can't.
Yep. I
I
know
don't
the
care
feeling.
how important it is. This is not the vibe for me. I won't thrive here. So within 6 months, I was out. And this is my first big girl job out of college.
Wow.
I,
Wow. So
I
you knew
can't
immediately. You
immediately.
were tuned in. You were pretty aware. You had a sense of self-awareness, like body awareness. You knew this ain't gonna
I
work.
couldn't. Yeah. I
Woo!
need light. I need light. Listen, I need to be able to see outside.
No, I'm with you. You know what I find interesting about that? Because most Black women, especially, right? When we tell our friends or our family, hey, I don't really like this, the first thing we hear is, oh, that's a good job.
I heard
Keep
it
that
too.
good job,
Yeah.
right? What do you think made you just initially have where did you get the courage or the gumption? Look, where did you get the gumption to say,
Mm.
nah, this ain't it. I'm not staying here.
Ooh, I mean, I can't think of anything other than instinct and God. Yeah, it's just listening and how I felt. Like I couldn't see myself going there every single day. Like I couldn't even give anyone an address of where I worked because it was top secret. Like that's
Wow.
crazy. But for
Yeah.
other people, that's exciting. You know what I mean? To be able to work on something top secret like that. But no, I couldn't do it. So it was a feeling in my body for sure.
Mhm.
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were being spiritually obedient, essentially,
Yes,
is what
I
I'm hearing you
wouldn't,
say
that's what I can recognize it today,
now.
but
Yeah.
back then I was not nearly as woo-woo as I am today.
Well, so
So,
many of us have been raised to numb
mhm,
it's like, no, let me just do something to quiet my body talking to me, right? Let me
mhm.
surround myself with Louis Vuitton, or let me, focus on something other than the fact that I do not like this.
Right.
Let me just divert my attention, ignore my body. And unfortunately, a lot of people spend a lot of years
Yeah.
doing that. But from the word go, you said, "No, I ain't gonna be able to do it."
Yeah. And even when I was
Okay.
telling you the story, I feel myself doing this, right? Which is
Mhm.
very restrictive. So, yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
sign number one. Yeah.
Okay. So you left that top secret role, and where did you go next?
Oh boy, you're asking me to go down memory lane. But I
Back
think
down memory lane.
I think that's where I got. So at that point, everyone, I'm in DC, first of all, it's a DC area. And everyone is talking about government jobs, how secure
Yep.
it is. You need to get a government job. And let me tell you, I tried and I tried and I tried to get a government job and I
Mm.
couldn't figure it out. But what I was getting were contract opportunities. So, and again, I didn't really know much about this whole contracting world, but I realized there were a lot of contracting agencies and they were faster to hire than me trying to go to usajobs.gov or whatever the site is. I would never hear anything back. I'm like, listen, I'm going to go over here and this out and see what happens. And that led me down a trajectory that I am a huge fan of to this day, which is
Yes, and what is
contracting.
that? Contracting. So
Yes.
you discovered contracting almost straight out the gate. You know what I love about this? Number one, we have, like I said, we have so much in common. I remember my first job out of college, I actually worked at a corporate headquarters for a grocery store chain in Boise, Idaho. They sold the company. A headhunter called me. I ended up working in Foot Locker for Foot Locker in central Pennsylvania. And it was so dark because somebody had the bright idea that if you take the third bulb in the middle out, the company would save 50 grand a year. And I said, I'll be damned
No way.
if I'm gonna be in this dark old factory.
That's
I
crazy.
hated that job. Let me tell you how excited I was when they fired my ass. Okay. But for me, getting fired gave me, it was like somebody getting kicked out the nest. And that's the visual I had was some boot kicking me. And it's like, I'm free. Like I'm free from accounting. Lord knows I ain't like that shit, but I went to school for it. So it's like, what else we gonna do? But yeah. So
Yeah.
there's that. The second piece is that spiritual obedience is so huge. Like when you hear
Is
something, if you are disobedient to your spirit, the
yeah.
consequences are always dire. Like you are always, there's always some big, oh, you ain't gonna listen. I always liken it to my mama calling my name and I ignore her. And then it's like she gonna make sure
That's
that she
how
heard.
it happens.
That's how it feels.
That's how it happens.
So when people say, "Oh, you're so brave," I'm like, I don't really feel like I had a choice. It's like get a spiritual whooping or do what I was told. Like
Yeah. And I
I don't know
think
what your
that's
spiritual
because
whoopings be like, but I don't need no more of mine.
yeah, I think because, so I will say this, and hopefully, well, if you take offense, that's on you. I'm not meant to, I'm not here to offend anyone, but I think there is something to be said about a lot of people who grow up in the church,
Mm.
who are
To be
taught
obedient no matter what.
no matter what. Yeah, and
Outside of,
that's
yeah, you're
the
trained earlier to
yeah,
disobey your spiritual, what your body, ooh,
yeah,
ooh,
and there's a lot of sacrificial elements that are taught.
you're right.
So then you don't realize what the difference is between um, spiritual redirection or whether you should push through because it feels like sacrifice. It feels like I gotta suffer through this and to get this rainbow or heaven promise
Yeah.
at the end. So I think there's some of that conditioning also.
Ooh,
So
that's the point.
yeah,
So we
resilience
learn early on to disobey our spiritual
for the
that
greater
narrative.
good of the collective, whatever that means, right?
You're
Um,
right.
and I think people misinterpret what resilience means as well, you know?
I hate
It's
that word.
like
Tell
you
me what
gotta,
you thinking. What do it mean to you?
I think resilience is, first of all, expecting some challenges and
Mhm.
preparing how you're going to respond to the challenges, or
Okay.
at least doing your best so that you could get back to a space that, you feel comfortable or you at least feel peace still.
Mm.
But if you don't define resilience that way, you're gonna think, I just gotta keep going, no matter what. Even if I can't physically, I can't spiritually, I can't emotionally, I'm gonna stick by this thing, is I'm going to be loyal to this thing no matter what,
Right.
you don't know what the difference is because you don't give yourself an opportunity to stop, see how you respond to this, and where do you want to get back to that's like even keel. But if you're always in this fighting, 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 and you never chill for a bit, you're gonna burn out.
You know what I think you've just described inadvertently? The difference between being raised in the inner city, where that fight is ingrained in you, ingrained in your nervous system, versus maybe being raised, your nervous system is different. And I imagine for most people, they never meet anyone from another world who is happy or successful or who has some measure of freedom. They usually only know people like them who do what they do, operate within the same paradigm and understanding and perspective of work and the world. But here you are, this island gal
Yeah.
with contract, right? Helping people to get
Now,
work,
so I will say,
who
I had
enjoys their work.
very humble beginnings. And I mean humble, that
Yeah.
it would be a commercial on TV how humble it was. Okay.
Okay.
I'm talking
All right.
about sharing bathrooms with neighbors humble. I'm talking about
Okay.
really, really like living almost like in a shack kind of vibes. So I've
Okay.
seen the violence. I've seen more than I need to see as a kid.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
so but my household, right? My mom, my aunt, my grandparents
Yeah.
did not, give me that strict upbringing, which I think is very rare as a Caribbean person in general. I feel like the Caribbean in general are very strict with
Yeah.
kids, but for whatever reason, and I'm so very grateful that my mom especially was not like that. And,
Same.
and so my grandparents, my aunt, they were not strict. Like my friends all had curfews. I did not. But I
Mm.
didn't want to be out in the streets late at
Yeah, because you're by
anyways,
yourself.
right?
Everybody else in the
Everybody
house.
else is inside. So, but I didn't. I wasn't told you can't do this and you can't, like that wasn't my
Mm.
upbringing. So I think
Okay.
that whether, what's outside externally, we don't have control over as kids. But yeah, I would say my mom was very, I would say liberating. I would say she
Yeah.
was, yeah, she didn't force me to go to church if I didn't want to go to church. If I had,
Mother didn't either.
yeah, I didn't, yeah. So
Wow.
if I had an interest in something, she would support my interest. And if I didn't want to do it anymore, she was like, okay, you don't have to do it anymore.
So for parents out there, listen, them kids turn out all right.
Right?
Right? If you, but
Yeah.
I wonder for the like I imagine there was so much pressure. There was probably social pressure to you need to get that girl in line. You need to, right? I
Yes.
imagine that there
Yeah.
was a lot of pressure to not raise a free child, a
Mhm.
free girl child.
Yeah. I
So
mean,
thank
even friends, parents would put pressure
yeah,
on their kids. They would say, why won't you be more like her? She's good at school and she's da 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 da. And I felt bad. But I
right.
was like, that that doesn't work. Because my mom she doesn't force me to try to be good at school. She never like, I enjoyed school. I enjoyed reading. So she supported that. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Wow.
Um, but yeah, so fast forward to contracting. Um, yeah, that opened up a whole new world that I didn't know about, where you
Okay.
could essentially work for different clients, different environments for a set amount of time. And that could
Okay.
be anywhere from 6 months to a year. Most of my contracts were a year long.
Okay.
And that allowed me to experiment and explore different areas in my career. So,
Now let me ask you something because as a Black woman, we are Oh, and I guess it comes from a lot of from the environment. I just think about our attachment or our relationship to security.
Mm, okay.
What kind of nervous system you got that allowed you to be able to say, sure, I'll sign up for a 6 month, 12 month. This ain't going to be like, what did you have to
Mm,
do in your mind that allowed you to just say, I'll take a contract? Because I'm just thinking about so many people, Black women, especially over 40,
yeah,
right? Security, we carrying our families on our back. Like there's just so much responsibility.
yeah.
So the ability to like the courage, I don't know, what do you feel like it takes to be willing to do
Mm,
contract work? I mean, because I mean, we, but and the what it actually takes, because right, because we know that nothing is actually secure. We know that security doesn't actually exist, but even still, we still for the illusion of security.
yeah. And the answer,
So
you literally gave the answer,
okay,
is the redefining what security actually means.
okay, what? Okay,
Yeah.
talk to us.
And
Tell us.
it's personal to everyone.
Okay,
And I did an Instagram post not a few months ago, maybe, about 21 different ways to feel secure. Because I've, worked with so many different clients and it means so many different things to people. So, for example, if you're a mom and you want to take on risk with contracting, for example, it doesn't have to be contracting. For you to feel secure, you might be like, I need to at least have my kids' year of school in savings so that
okay,
they never miss school. Whereas someone
okay,
like me who doesn't have kids, I'm like, maybe all I need is 3 months of savings to cover my
okay,
bills. For someone
okay,
else, it might be like, I need to have insurance for my elderly parent,
okay.
right? So you have to be very self-aware. And this is some of the things
Yeah,
I coach through with my clients. Like, what does security actually mean for you? If you want to go down the route of contracting, how much do you
yeah,
need to have saved? Um, you know, what plans can you put in place so that when this contract ends, you start have some things in place for the next contract, right? That means you have to reverse engineer and start building relationships. So that means you have to be secure with building relationships. If you don't like networking and building relationships, we got to come up with another plan, right? So it's really about who you are. Like some of my clients are very extroverted and they love networking. I
okay,
don't, right? So, what I use for myself and for my introverted clients, I use agencies, right? Agencies
mm,
are more incentivized to get people to work on a contract.
okay,
My extroverted clients, they can talk with a friend that they used to work with at the previous job and get an opportunity just like that. I've seen it happen multiple times, right?
okay,
So I use what works for you individually. It's very personal for you to figure out what security means for you. So,
yeah.
yeah, just
So
because
that
everyone else says um government jobs are secure. We've all seen that fall apart in the last couple of years. Um,
yeah,
or a regular W-2 job. Like none of those are actually secure. But for
yeah.
you to feel secure, for some people, they don't need anything. They're like, listen, as long as I can file for unemployment, I'm good, right? So, and if that's you, that's
They have a
just
higher risk
honor it.
tolerance. They
Just
have a
honor it.
higher risk tolerance.
Yeah. And for people like that, I say travel abroad.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay. So in order to so when we're talking about enjoying your work, one of them it sounds like flexibility is necessary,
Yes.
right? I heard you say oh shoot, I
If
had it.
if you value flexibility, because not everyone values flexibility, right?
So
There are
you
some,
got to get clear. You
yes,
need to like you got to get clear on what's important to you and who you really are
yeah,
beyond these really kind of generic words that we say that
Hmm.
we haven't really defined. So we have to define for ourselves
Yeah.
what this means. What is security? Put a number to it, right?
Yeah.
In black and white, hardcore term, like what does that mean when you say to be secure? I love that. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So it takes quite a bit of coaching to usually get that level of clarity. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, but that's where you got to start is actually defining it because it's such a big term.
Got it. Okay. So let me ask you, as a person who um, has found work that they enjoy, now coaches other women on finding work that they also enjoy, how do we know that we're choosing work we enjoy as opposed to choosing the next thing that we'll just be good at?
Ooh, okay, that's a good one. Um, it's tough for Black women because, like I said, we are good at everything.
Yeah.
But I would say this is my secret sauce when I work with clients. I look at what you get excited about. I listen to what you are always talking about, and you always tell on yourself when you're excited.
Yes.
You
What are some of
always
those
tell on
skills?
yourself when you're in love, when you like something, you always tell on yourself. You can't help it.
Okay. What are
So,
some of the things you notice when a person is
um,
excited? Like what happens to a person when they're excited?
they typically talk about that specific topic, even if that's not the subject. So I could be
Okay.
talking about, I don't know, travel, and they will bring up something that they enjoy doing that has nothing to do with travel. It will come up some way, somehow in the conversation.
Okay. Okay.
Um, it's also something they like to complain about. So typically, when we go to our friends and family, and for example, what I've seen is a lot of Black women will work on these big projects or these big initiatives or something that's really important. And they will
Okay.
complain how it's not being done well, how it could be a
Mm,
different way. I wish this would have happened. It's too expensive. It's so much time wasting. It's too many meetings. All of that is telling me how much you love efficiency, you love planning, you love organization, you love program plan, like all these different things you complain about. And it like irks you, right? That is
yeah.
not done the way that you see it could be done. That is usually another telltale sign of what you enjoy doing.
I love that because something I realized some years back when I first started looking at branding. This is completely right. But I realized that my really strong emotions, whatever it was that I was angry about, was probably something that I wanted to change. It was
Yes.
something connected to something that I valued, and there was some deep connection to it. So
Yeah.
if it creates large emotions for you, it's
Yes.
probably connected to something you're supposed to be doing. I love that.
Exactly. Yeah. So those are the telltale signs.
I love that. I love that. Okay. I want to get back to did we talk about this already? How does being good at something get in
Oh,
the way of
yes.
finding what they enjoy? Did we already talk about that?
No, we did not, but we could definitely dig deeper.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially for Black women over 40. Because
Yes.
you're right. We've done at by this point, we've had so many experiences, either volunteer experiences, professional experience. We didn't had our hands and stuff. People didn't ask us to do like our skill set is bar
Vast.
none.
It's vast. It's amazing. It's impressive.
Yeah.
But we don't believe that, right? We don't always
Yeah.
believe that or see the value in it because we do it. And I want to say this is another conditioning thing. And we've been conditioned in school to be the A+ student. We've
Yeah.
been conditioned maybe at church to be the volunteer and to do all the things and be of service. And then at work, we're 9 times out of 10. I would say 10 out of 10 for my clients are doing work that's outside of the scope of their job description. All of
Yep.
them, always.
Yep.
So we have been conditioned to do above and beyond. And there are so many things that you can do. And that is a problem
Mm,
because capability, um, and joy are
mhm.
like they're two different things. There are two different things. You could be really good at something and not enjoy it at all. And this goes back to tapping into your body, right?
Yeah.
Because you may be obligated every weekend to do something for church, but are you excited to go,
Mm,
right? Do you feel rewarded? Be honest, right?
yeah.
Be honest. And if you do, great. That's a good sign. Do you want to do more of it? Do you want your time? Because 24 hours, most of us are at work 8 hours or 9 hours.
Hmm.
And if you think that you could be miserable for a third of your day
Ugh,
for years and be okay with that, there's a deeper problem. You
yeah.
cannot be okay with 8 hours of misery every day
Because
for
it's never eight. It's usually 9, 10. If you right, it's an hour there, hour back. Then you hating it on Sundays. Like it's actually it becomes more than a third.
that
It
part.
starts inching toward like almost half. This
Yeah,
is now your life. You're
yeah,
hating most of your
exactly.
life.
Yeah. And I don't think a lot of people realize that because they're good at something or I even want to say, let's stop using good at something. You've just been trained to do something.
And you've been rewarded,
And you've
right?
been
So
rewarded usually
you
with money or external validation.
accolades
Yeah.
or right other people talking about, oh, that's my daughter, she do right, like
Yes.
you have all of this social capital that's tied to you doing this
Yes.
thing that you are not connected to. Tell me some way, what are some ways that you stay connected to your body?
Ooh, dancing is my favorite. That's my
I
hobby
hear you.
my whole life.
Yes. What kind of
Always
dancing
doing
you be doing out
something.
there? What'd you say?
I'm always doing something with my body. So ever since I was a kid, I was a majorette. And I've done, African, Caribbean. Now I'm into bachata and I might get into salsa. So I would say definitely staying in tune with your body for sure. Um,
Yeah.
there's working out. Some things I love doing, for example, is ball slams where you slam like a 10-pound ball on the
Oh, the
ground.
medicine
That
balls. Oh my
feels so
God.
good.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I ain't did
Um,
that, but I know what you're talking about.
there's self-defense class. There's so many fitness classes. There's so many things that you can explore to get more in tune with your body. Um, but when it comes to uh, finding more joy in your work, right? I would say because not all of us are going to be working out at work, right? We're not going to be
Right.
dancing at the job. So I want to share some more practical things, but I do think it's important to start with hobbies outside of
Yeah.
work first. That's like
Yeah.
the easiest thing
Why do you think that's important?
because hobbies require you to be present. It requires you to take up space.
Mm,
It requires you to take up time and energy outside of your work. So you have
mm,
a different identity outside of your career where you
mm,
can focus all of your essence onto that brings you some kind of joy. When you
mm.
elevate the joy in your life outside of work, it will eventually spill over into work.
Ooh.
So that's why I think hobbies are a great place to start. Anything to do with your physical body is a great place.
I had a client, to your point, I had a client who had started making music on AI,
Mm.
and she was so just disenchanted with her work. She fell in love with making music on AI and had a listening party, an album release, created a whole AI album, a record label. But
Wow.
the funny thing is, because she fell in love with AI, she found herself so motivated that she was beginning to get her job done in half the time so that she could
That
get
part.
back to the thing that she
Yes.
enjoyed.
Yeah.
So it is so important. You know, it's funny because so many of us say, oh, well, they come to coaching with me and they say, well, how do I have more motivation? And that thing right there,
Yeah.
we got to find you something that you like. So,
Yes.
because so that joy that you, it's fun, that joy that you have outside of work, it starts out like that's what you have immediate control over.
Yes.
That's the thing,
Exactly.
right? So if you want to end it, what I'm hearing you say, if you want to enjoy your work, we got to first start with enjoying your life.
Yes.
We got to crowd
Absolutely.
the work out because otherwise you're going to always find yourself doing something that you
Yeah.
don't like. So it's like,
Hmm.
let's start adding things that we
Yes.
enjoy.
That's the thing. I don't like the idea of I don't like the diet approach, right? Typically with diets, you got to take away something, right? You got to
Yeah.
stop eating sugar, you got to stop eating meat or whatever. But I like the what do you need to add more of? Let's add more veggies, add more fruits, right?
Yeah.
So with that, with when it comes to your career, add more hobbies, add more things that light you up. Even if it's
Yeah.
not a hobby, maybe you enjoy um I don't know, dating, or something, right?
Whatever you enjoy.
Traveling,
What do you
something. Yeah.
What do you sense? I see a straight line, but what's for you is the through line between having hobbies that you enjoy. What is the connection between having a hobby that you enjoy and eventually finding work that you enjoy?
It's definitely a direct line. And I think for the mentality in general, hobbies
Yeah,
are a safe place to explore. You can be a beginner. You don't have to be good at it,
yeah,
right? You could just do it for sheer joy.
yeah,
Just because it could re-energize you. So I think yeah, I think it's just a safer place to
yeah,
be. There's no expectations, there's no deadlines, there's
mm,
nothing besides showing up just for
yeah,
pure joy.
yeah,
Yeah, it's just for you. It's for you. It's not to
yeah.
pay a bill, it's not to, be obligated to anyone else. So yeah,
Mhm.
it's that I
And
think
at a
that
very
is
practical level, most of us only know other people who hate their jobs.
important.
Seriously, when you hate your job, all you know are other people who hate their jobs too. And typically, our idea of a good time is going to brunch or happy hour and
Mm,
complaining about our job.
right.
When you start finding things that you enjoy, now you are widening your social circle. Now you
Yes.
meet people who enjoy. I have never met somebody at a dance class who hate their work. Never,
That's true.
never.
That's true. Yeah.
My
Yeah.
hobbies that I love, those people usually are doing work. So now it's like it yes, you're making space, you're building increasing your capacity for having joy in your life. You are also now increasing your social circle. You're finding
Mhm.
out what's possible.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? You and I are not the only people in the world who enjoy their work. When my homegirl said, Tisha, everybody hate their job, I was like, I didn't say anything because everybody that I knew at that time did hate their job. But I am
Mhm.
so grateful for my mother who we moved I changed schools every 2 years. So I don't know what it means to stay with. In my mind, if I don't know those people, it's not that though that they don't exist. I just haven't met them yet.
Right.
So let me go find the people who love what they do.
Right. Exactly.
That
Yeah.
was,
No,
I was like, you know what? Bet. I took that on as a personal challenge. Now, I know we're just about time. I mean, before we go, I just want to ask if there's a woman watching who's in her 40s or 50s, right? She is afraid to pivot. Maybe she's exhausted with all of the hatred that she has for this work that she's been doing for a decade plus, right? Because she does have responsibilities. What would you say is the first step that she should take?
Oh, wow. I mean, we've shared so many gems here. Pick your adventure, whichever one speaks to you the most, whichever one you're excited to do the most, that's the thing that you should do first. So whether that's let me go find a hobby, I'll do that. Or let me pay attention to what I've been complaining about and see if there's anything that I actually want to change, right?
Yeah.
I'm excited. There's a skill set that I would like to do more of this. Or if you're interested in coaching, you could reach out to either one of us. Just whatever is like, yeah, that is driving me. Maybe you want to travel, book the freaking trip, right? If you
Yeah.
need permission, you got it right here. Book the trip.
Yeah. Seriously.
So yeah, I lead with excitement first, always. So yeah, pay attention to your body.
Yes.
Pay attention to the thoughts that's looping in your head, because they're telling you things. They're giving you
Yeah.
clues. They're there for a reason. So start writing down those thoughts. You don't have to understand the deeper meaning yet, but at least write them down, make it plain, so
Yes.
that way you can face what's going on in your head,
I
um,
love it.
and you will see that there's some direction to, something, whether that's God or your instinct or whatever, telling you to go this way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where can we find you, Kimmoy? Where can we stay connected with you?
I'm on Instagram all the time, so that's the best spot. So it's
Okay.
Kimmoy 100. So that's where you can find me.
I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. And is there any last words that you want to share with the folks who might be watching?
It's possible to have a career that you enjoy. There's many different ways to live and work. There's so many different fields to explore. There's an abundance of opportunities. So there's one with your name on it. And it's
Yes.
it's your mission to find it.
Yes.
So
I love that. I love
yeah.
that. Thank you so much for joining. Listen, if you have been watching this and you're a Black woman over 40 who has mastered surviving at work, mastered being dependable, mastered being strong, mastered being the one that everybody calls on, recognize that enjoying our work, I know it probably sounds asinine. It probably sounds impossible, but you are looking at two women right here, and we are just two. We look like two, but there are thousands behind us who also enjoy the work that we are doing. We are enjoying, and I wish we would have dived into this more, but work doesn't just mean suffering. Work can also
Yeah.
mean what you have been called to do. It can also mean the destiny, the calling on your life. So it does not have to be miserable. And even if you don't know anybody else where this is possible, follow Kimmoy on Instagram. Follow me if you're not following me. We show what enjoying our work actually looks like. I love that Kimmoy talked about getting in touch with our bodies, because again, so many of us have just been trained and socialized to disconnect from our bodies. Listen, if this conversation resonated and you realize that you are tired of surviving at work, your feelings are valid. The next level for you is not about doing more hustle, not about pushing through. It is really about building and creating capacity and space for something different. There is a calling for you that is enjoyable, and you just got to open up to it. Stay in touch with us. Like and subscribe and comment below if you found this helpful, and stay in touch with us. Again, Kimmoy, thank you so much for
Thank
being willing to
you.
take some time away from your work that you enjoy to come talk to
Yes.
us a little bit about this.
No, this was really fun. I enjoyed it.
Okay, awesome. So I'm going to put your contact info in the caption. And let me just make sure before we go. Yep, somebody said, unfortunately, we're trying to endure to pay the bills. Yep. But there
There's
is
more
more
to life.
available.
There's more to
There
life than
is. There's
bills.
so much more, right? And it starts, I'm so glad that you watched this today, because the more that you're looking for, it starts with beginning to change our mind around what's possible, opening your mind to what's available, to people just like you, to women who came from where you came from, humble beginnings. right?
Mhm.
Who may be the first in their families to do, I call it first generation free. You might be the first one who's been free to choose a career that nobody else did, and that requires some support. So get in community with us, so we can continue to be an example for you and support you in finding something that you enjoy as well. All right, so I need to go. You need to go. I will talk to y'all later. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye.
Hold on before we go. Let me make sure I share this one last time. Kimmoy Matthews, y'all.
So fun.